gosh, we're having so much fun, aren't we, Mubarak?
Oh man, this is the dream come true, honestly,
Yes, yes, it is.
because there's no difference from how we do our business every day than what we're doing right now. This is our
That is true.
business.
Yeah.
This is the
This is
business.
us. This
And,
is what you see is what
this
you
is
get.
us. No more, no less. No more, no less. Again, this is Mubarak Nsekarije.
This is Anna Dornier, and you are on episode 9 of Organic Reach X. And today we're going to talk about how to achieve goals with 100% certainty. Wow, that's a big promise. When I wrote that, it's like, ooh, that's a big promise. How am I gonna
Definitely.
deliver on this? Yeah.
That definitely it is a big promise, but we're gonna do our best as
Yeah,
always
sure.
and leave the hearts on this one. Yeah. Anna, there's something that I want to prepare the audience, right? Have you ever read a book, right? And for whatever reason, you read the book, and for example, fun enough, I was using example. There is this great book from Russell Brunson. Again, there's no affiliation. I think it's just any other book like the ones I have behind me. You read the book, and you're a good student as we are recommending you to take action. You implement everything, and you're like, what's going on? I did everything they said, but things are not working out. Like, what's going on, right? That's what we're going to be talking about here. How can you not only implement it, but to be certain that when whatever you're implementing is going to help you achieve your goal, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have that experience of reading a book or taking a course or being in a program that you take it, but still, because past experience, you're like, I don't know if this is going to work out. Guess what? When you go into something with that mindset, the chances of not working out, they increase, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make it an end to it, right? Give you tools, give you things that you going to enjoy. So I don't want to take too much. I'm going to give it to Anna, but I want you to stay until the end, because after she finished presenting what she has for us, there's other things that I'm going to add into it that is going to take this to the next level, right? And remember, again, this is not listening only. We want you to implement, right? If you're watching us on a podcast, please reach out to organicreachx.com to get the show notes and the downloads, and also to watch the presentation that Anna she's about to share with us today.
Yeah, for sure. So we really started this this training, or this specific one. This is not a training series. This is actually the first one where there's only one episode. So don't worry, we're not gonna give you more work. But ultimately, it's like we talked about systems last episode, right? And we talk about if you don't have systems, you don't have a business, or you don't have a life. And so, but we've all been there. Like you said, you read a book, you like all gung-ho, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, right? It's going to get me to this result. And we've been told, like, you got to develop the habits, right? You got to develop the habits. But what that was missing is that in order for us to ultimately achieve the habits, we have to develop a system around the habit. That was a huge distinction for me. I think this was from Atomic Habits. I'd never even read the book. Just one of our clients said it. It's like, if you want to, actually develop habits, you have to create a system around it. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so powerful. So this has nothing to do with that book, but it's going to show you how can you create systems and how systems are going to help you achieve those goals. So let's go ahead and share the slides. And again, if you're watching this listening to this on your podcast app, definitely watch it later. If you're driving or whatever, working out, watch it later on YouTube with visuals, particularly this one, because there's going to be some things that you're going to want to actually look like for it to make sense on the slides. Or you can also just download it from the show notes, download the slides from the show notes as well. So today we're going to cover the learning hierarchy and how it relates to your goals, and then how systems can help you constantly move forward towards your goals. So again, this is episode 9, how to achieve your goals with 100% certainty. I think I totally skipped the title there. So not all learning is of equal value. This is where the
Yes.
learning hierarchy comes in, right? So everything starts out as energy. Ooh, like we're going to the woo stuff, right? But everything starts out as energy. So this is where like we actually put this into a concrete concept for you so you can wrap your mind around it. So in Alpha Academy, which is our 12-week mastermind that we launch only a few times a year, we talk about this energy as spirit, right? So this is spirit. And the law, one of the laws that we talk about here in Alpha Academy, not here, but in Alpha Academy, is the law of conservation of energy. So the law of conservation of energy states that energy can be converted in form, but not created or destroyed. That's
Ooh,
a law, right?
ooh,
Yeah,
that's
that
big.
means that's huge. Again, we're talking about laws. We kind of alluded to this in the last episode about laws and how like it doesn't matter whether you like the law or not. The law is there. It's gonna be there. And you either work with it or you work against it, right?
Mhm.
So whatever energy it is that you think you need, you already have access to it because it's already there, because it
It's a
cannot be
law.
created nor destroyed. Yeah, it's the law. It's the conservation of energy. So the learning hierarchy, this is where the learning hierarchy comes in. So it starts with energy. And then we then put that energy and it becomes data. So it trickles down as data into this physical world, right? And then so data is just simply symbolic representations of properties of things and events. It is useless to us unless we turn it into information, right? This is why we don't need more information, because sometimes information is not even useful to us, right? So information in this, the definition is information is data that is relevant to an outcome. So unless that data is relevant to an outcome, it's just data. Once you tie it to an outcome, it's information, right? So this is
Yes.
how you can actually use this in practical life. And it's like, is this just data that is just useless to me? Or is this information because it's going to help me achieve an outcome? So that's
Mhm.
awesome, right? So then for data to become information, we have to have outcomes, goals, and or purpose. This is one of
Mhm.
the reasons why we started this podcast with your goals, starting with your goals. Because if you don't know what your goals are and you're coming in here to Organic Reach X, why are you here? Why are you listening to or why you're watching these trainings, right? If you don't have a goal that you want to achieve. So our goals allow us to sort through data of the world of information. That's
Wow, that's
huge.
big. Yes.
So huge. Then this information we can turn into knowledge because now we've attached it to an outcome, right? So
Mhm.
knowledge is simply organized information. It allows us to see the battlefield so we can make connections, create systems, and so on. That's so good, right? Like we can stop here. It's like, okay, mic drop, mic, mic drop. See, that's another thing that I naturally do. I just like switch words up. Anyway, right? That's so good. Knowledge is organized information. It just allows us to see the battlefield so we can make connections and create systems. And we're basically using knowledge to do something that we want. So in Alpha Academy, we talk about this, we refer to this as creative thinking. And
Yes.
you get paid in business for thinking creatively, really, at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
Because the people that innovate are the people that change the world, right? And
Yes.
so entrepreneurs ultimately get paid to think creatively,
Mhm.
right? That's what we're so good at here, I think. Mubarak, if I have to toot my own horn. Such a great team, such a great thing. I'm so grateful for you.
No,
So
I'm grateful, dear.
Thank you. So experience. So this knowledge now, when you apply it, right? You saw the battlefield, you made the connection, you create the systems. When you apply it, you experience the knowledge, right? Experiencing the knowledge gives us understanding. We unpack this a little bit more and how we progress in Alpha Academy. But for now, all you need to know is that when you experience the knowledge, it gives you an understanding. This is why Mubarak always ends our episodes with, you got to implement, right? Because if you don't implement, then you can't turn this knowledge into experience, and then you can't understand it at a deeper level, right?
Yes.
So this is why we say we don't need more knowledge. We need more experience. We
Yes.
need to apply more. We need to make mistakes. We need to overcome challenges. This is how we have a deeper understanding of things, and this is how we can shift our perspective in life. And ultimately, again, if you're staying in the information level or just the knowledge level, it really doesn't do you much if you don't experience and implement, right? And then with that understanding and experience comes wisdom, right?
Ooh.
That's so good. This is one of the things you can just take a screenshot of it, print it out, and put it in front of you every single day. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna like inspire you to just keep going, right? And keep going towards and experiencing and think creatively in your business, right?
Yeah.
So also when you have wisdom, you can think about effectiveness versus efficiency, right?
Yes.
Because once you have wisdom, you can be very effective because you know now what works, what doesn't work. And then you're developing those skills, right? And then you can be more efficient. But then you need to know what is effective first
Mhm.
before you know what's efficient,
Yeah.
right? What will give you the results faster, right? So again, it all starts with experience. Without that, well, the wisdom you gain from experience, it doesn't come from just knowing the thing, right? So Albert Einstein agrees. God doesn't play dice with the universe, right? This is why laws are very important. This is why we started with the law of conversation, because who knows the laws better than Albert Einstein, right? I
Yeah.
mean, this particular scientist genius knows what it's all about. Really, I love Albert Einstein, even though I've never met him. So in Alpha Academy, we discuss the universal principles or the universal laws, if you want to use that word instead, which guide the world we live in, and how abiding by those laws will surely get us whatever we desire. So now I know you're thinking like, what are those laws? Like, you don't need to know what those laws are at this moment. But what you need to know is that there are laws that govern the universe that other if there weren't laws, will either go into chaos, or by knowing the laws, it will help us actually achieve our desired outcomes, whether that's in your relationships, your business, in whatever it is. By knowing the laws and abiding by the law, then it will help you achieve the desired outcome. So
Mhm.
we're going to unpack that a little bit more for you. So let's now look at how scientists apply these laws to achieve their desired outcomes. So we're going to talk about systems theory. So thank you, Mubarak, for introducing me to this, because if you didn't tell me about this, I would have been like, what is systems theory? And now that I know this, we can help our people ultimately come up with their systems so that they can put their habits into the system. So let's explain how systems work. So there are only two types of systems. So there's an open loop system, and then there's a closed system. So once we understand how each of these systems work, we can start to understand how everything works. So again,
Yes.
because the systems follow the laws, right? So that's why if you just know how these systems work, then you're going to understand how everything works. This is how your electronics are created, are invented, right? Because of these systems and the laws that govern them. So each system has 5 basic elements. So for the open system, there's an input. Again, this is where the slide will really help. So if you haven't, if you're not watching this, definitely look at it after, if you're not in a place where you can look at something. So input is either energy, data, information, physical matter. It doesn't matter what it is, but there's always going to be an input in each system. So then there's a transport. So it's where the energy will travel through, right? So transport is like the movement or flow of input through the system. And then there's going to be a conversion. There's going to be something that converts that input into something else. So the conversion is simply the transformation of input into the final output. So that's the third element. And then the fourth element is the structure. So there's always going to be like something where all of this kind of comes together. So the structure is basically the form and boundaries of a system that gives it definition, right? It binds the system all together. And then the last element is output, right? So it's very simple. You start with input, there's a transport, you convert that, and then there's a structure wherein the conversion happens, and then there's the outcome or the output at the end. So those are the 5 elements of each system. So the main difference between the open loop system, so this is an open loop system. So this is probably the simplest system that you're going to encounter, right? It makes sense. I'll give you some examples. So open loop systems, basically, the final output is based on a set point. So for example, you have a cruise control in your car, right? You get to the speed that you want in your car, and then you hit that cruise control button that says 70 miles per hour. And your car sets it at that output. And then unless you change it, nothing changes. That's going to be the final output. So that's an open loop system. Did you have another example? From what I remember, I think you had another example of an open loop
another
system.
one is it's a simple light switch, right? When you're in the house, you flip that switch, light just comes, right? So until you switch that off, nothing happens. The light is going to continue going on, right? So yeah, that's another open loop system, right?
Yeah,
so those
I
are,
love it. Yeah. So in an open loop system, there's no feedback in the system. So it doesn't self-adjust, like Mubarak said, unless you turn the light off again, or unless you turn off that cruise control in your car, it will just stay like that, right? So it doesn't self-adjust. It doesn't have that like consciousness to adjust itself. And so this is one of the older form of systems because it is the more simple system. And then the closed loop system, I put them all here on one slide without the animations and stuff, so you can see them all together. And what I did was all the new, how do you call it? All the new elements here are in red, so that you know that these are specific to the closed loop system. So the closed loop system has 4 additional elements. So you have your goal, and then you have the controller, you have the sensor, and then you have the disturbances. So the main thing is that obviously you have a goal. So you set a goal at the beginning that doesn't exist in a open system, and then there's something that controls how that goal basically gets through the system. And then there's a sensor somewhere in the middle of the system where it senses if something changes in the system, because there's going to be some disturbances that happen. So an example that will make it drive this home will be like a thermostat in your air conditioning unit in your house, right? So a thermostat, a thermostat senses temperature changes in your house and it adjusts it, right? Now, if you set it, let's say if your house is set at 72 degrees, and of course now I'm in Europe, that is in Fahrenheit or whatever. when you set that, you say 72 degrees Celsius, and it achieved that temperature, and something changes where maybe it got hotter outside, right?
Mhm.
And so then it's going to, how do you call this, disturb this thermostat sensing unit in your thermostat, and then it's going to adjust it to keep it at 72 degrees, right? So if it got hotter, it's 73 degrees outside, and let's say it doesn't even, it's this this example is like confusing me right now, but you know what I mean. If there's a change in temperature, it's going to keep it at 72 degrees. So like probably like, why are you talking about this, and what does it have to do with my my habits and my goals, right? So let's look at this
Good.
further. Yeah, go ahead, Mabar.
And I'm saying that's a good way to put it. But yeah, let's listeners keep listening, and those who are watching, keep watching, because at the end, everything's going to make sense.
Yeah, for sure. So closed loop systems, the main thing is that it's more intelligent than an open loop system, as it has a self-adjusting feature. I guess
Mhm.
another good example would be maybe the self-driving cars too,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yes.
wow, there's sensing turns and all that based on the directions that you put. There's like a consciousness programmed into it that helps you drive it without you actually paying attention to the wheel, which is still scares me.
Mhm.
So this closed loop system has a consciousness programmed into it. And this is how most systems are designed nowadays. So this is
Yes.
more updated. So when it comes to your goals and closed loop systems, think about the controller being you,
Yes.
right?
You're in control. Mhm.
Yes. And the disturbances are going to be life changes, challenges, transitions, problems, you name it. There's always going to be something in life that gets you off track, right? Or
Beliefs,
distracts
beliefs that
you.
you have. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I say that again because I think it wasn't clear on the audio.
Yes, I was saying beliefs, like the
Yeah.
beliefs that you hold can be disturbance to the outcome
Oh,
that you want to achieve. Yeah.
yes, that's really good. Beliefs, limiting beliefs, we should say, right? Because there's some beliefs that actually help you control the outcome a little bit more. So
Yes.
this is where the closed loop system is a lot like your goals, right? It can apply to your goals
Mhm.
because you as the controller, you have these disturbances all the time in
Yeah.
life, right? If you live in planet Earth, there's going to be all the disturbances, right? The different kinds. And then the sensor in the system will sense, how can I adjust my system so I can still achieve my goal and achieve
Yes.
the output that I've been looking for, right?
Yes.
So this is why, yes, habits are very good to have, but if you want to achieve your, if you want those habits to stay, you got to put them in the system.
Yes. You got to have a system. Definitely.
Yeah. And now that you have a better understanding of a closed loop system and how it relates to your goals, then you can use this model to now create a system around the habits that will help you achieve your goals.
Mhm.
And ooh, yeah, I totally didn't even see this. So on the slide, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that the higher faculties pointed to the sensor box in this model. So
Mhm.
sensor, so higher faculties, what we talk about higher faculties in Alpha Academy are your will, your
Mhm.
imagination, you know,
Mhm.
what makes you better than an animal, basically, right?
Yes.
Those are your higher faculties, your intuition. So this is your sensor. You're sensing what's going on with your life. You're using your intuition, your will, your imagination, and all that. There's seven. I can only think of three right now. You're using those higher faculties to adjust the system so that you're still in control and it can still lead you to your goal.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's something
Big.
that you have that no other creature on planet Earth has.
Yes.
And then you adjust the input because you are in control of the situation.
Mhm.
So I think that's it. So some final tips. I know you have some good stuff to talk about
Yeah.
here, but Barak, some
Mhm.
final tips. Ask yourself right now, what is a goal that I really want to achieve where if I created a system around it, it will ensure my success.
Yeah.
If you did the exercises in episodes 2 to 4, you should already have these goals, right?
Mhm.
And you should be
Yeah.
able
There
to
you
easily determine what you want to create a system around, because you determine those are the goals that's going to get you to your vision, this aligned with your mission and then your
go.
purpose, right? And then this can be an aspect of your marketing where maybe you create an organic traffic system that you or your team member can implement easily, right? Because
Yeah.
again, you can put the habits in the system that will ultimately help you create, yeah, build this audience that you've always wanted to have, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh,
Awesome.
yeah. So one more before you start. So unless you want to start before I
No,
go into
go
the
ahead.
start.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So over the next few Organic Reach X episodes, we will unpack some of our most effective systems for you, so you can start
Yes.
to see the power of organic marketing. So
Mhm.
again, this is, I mean, yes, we go with the flow. Most of the time we don't plan things, but for Organic Reach X, this podcast series, we really wanted to be intentional.
Mhm.
And we wanted to really deliver the value so that you actually get results from the things that we teach,
Mhm.
and we didn't just throw stuff together and hoping and praying that it works, right? So stay tuned because that's coming up. We're only on episode 9 and things are just going to get better from here. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Mubarak. I know you have some things you want to share.
Awesome. 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 Yeah. So if you're still here right now and listening to us, watching us on different platforms where you're experiencing this, I want to share something, and also as a way of saying thank you so much for joining us on this journey, right? As I started saying, you read the book, right, and you follow everything and it doesn't work. So now, the reason why I didn't want to share this, I wanted you to first see those systems, right? I'm going to talk about the feedback loop system, right? The one that you have a feedback. The number one problem is the disturbance is your current reality, right? Your current reality can be a disturbance to the new reality that you are embracing from the book. So if you bring a book and your current reality can disturb that new way, because here's something, right? The only thing you're implementing from this book is what the author is sharing with you. But he's assuming, there is an assumption here that you're already doing the things that he's already doing to get that results. But 99.9, no, you're not doing some of those things, right? So you have already programming that you have until this point that you want to build on top of it. So the foundation is wrong. So that's why we told you, go back to the energy, right? Start from there, do some assessment. What energy that you have, because everything has energy, right? Do you have a growth mindset or you have a fixed mindset? Because depending on where you are, it's going to affect you, right? How is your environment like, right? Because it doesn't matter if you read this book and you're always angry, you're always pissed up, you're always not treating people well, right? What type of energy are you creating? You see, so that's very important. So there is, in a system city, because we could not cover everything in a system city, but in a system city, there is what we call the system reliability. How can you rely on a system, right? In order to rely on a system, right, there is a formula to it, right? Because you need reliability. Because remember, we want you to have certainty right? That 100% this thing's going to work. So the system that ability becomes, and system that ability, it has a law that says multiplication by subtraction. What's that, Mubarak? What are you talking about? Multiplication by subtraction. What does it mean? Let me unpack it for you. So what I'm saying is, before you pick up the book, look at your current reality, right? How does the current reality support the vision of the person you want to become? Do you remember when you said start with end in mind, right?
Yeah.
Who do you want to become? And the person you want to become and the person you are right now, how incongruent are they? Because if there's no congruent, there's no way you can get there. So no matter how much you keep chasing that person, you'll never be. So guess what? We start eliminating some of the things in the current reality that are causing disturbance, that are causing friction for you not moving towards your ideal, the person you need to become. Why? Because in a system, it's not 1 + 1 = 2. No. In a system, it's 1 × 1. No, 1 times something else equals something. Because 1 × 1, you get what? 1. Right? But now 1 × 2, you get 2. But here's another thing. Because when we started somewhere in this podcast, we talked about there's nothing perfect, right? This book is not perfect. You're not perfect. So let's assume this is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. Let's say I am 20% perfect. And I'm going to get 8% and add it on 20, which makes 100, right? But in the system, it doesn't work that way. It's a multiplication. What do I talk about? What do I mean? Now, you're taking the 80 times 20, right? It's 8%. So let's say it's 0.8 times 0.2. It's percentage-wise. Guess what? What's the answer you're going to get? I want you to get, even Anna, if you have a calculator by your side, I want you to tell the audience so that they know what answer you got. I don't have a phone with me right here.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me pull it up.
Sorry, I put
All
you on
right.
the
Okay.
spot,
What's the 0.8 times 0.2?
Yeah.
Oops. Sorry.
0.8 times 0.2.
Yeah, 0.128.
There you got it. You're like, what? Do you see now the system reliability just went down? You see? So we went to 10%. But how come? But 80, she's 80% and I'm 80%, I'm 20%. Yes. That's why they tell you, be careful the things you bring into your life. If they're negative, they're going to bring you down. They don't bring you up. So she was at 80% by herself. By bringing 20% of me, you think that it's going to add. No, it brings her down even worse. The overall becomes 10%. So no wonder you go take a course has promised you things, but the current reality, it's at 10% or 20%. And the course is promising you 8%. And you multiply it, you get even worse results than what you had. You're like, what's going on? So the goal is, before you add on, bring yourself to 8% too, as a person, right? How
you
is
match it basically, right?
Exactly. Because in that, the percentage are going to be better. Does make sense? So now don't ever go take a course, take a program, and then you complain that the program doesn't work. Look at the disturbance in the system. You know, this is something we forget, right? You have the sensors, the high faculty, that's why you have them. You as a controller, check on the sensors and see what are the disturbances am I having right now? What are the disturbances in terms of the way I'm thinking, my beliefs? What are the disturbances in terms of my environment? And then you adjust from there. So that's what we do in Alpha Academy. Once we do that, somewhere on this page, you're going to find a way to find out, because we also have a training. It's a free training that you can sign up. for Alpha Academy, where we go deeper on these things. Of course, we don't have the time to sit here. It's just a simple podcast sharing you values. If you value what you had here today, imagine it's another 3 sessions where we go over a 90 minutes period, going deep on some of these things there. But not only that, you have an opportunity to ask us questions, right? To ask us questions and have interactive. It's like a mini mind,
experience.
Yes, and they have an experience. Yes, it's like a mini one-on-one type of, right, where you get to interact with other fellow lifelong learners, right, business owners, right? So that's what I wanted to add on to what she shared. It's very important. What energy are you carrying? If you're not, if the energy is good, it doesn't matter what information you're gonna have.
Yeah.
Right. So is it a positive energy? Is it the energy that supports where you're going, or is the energy that is destroying everything you touch? We have a saying that everything I touch turns to ashes. But here, that's not what we have. We have a saying that everything you touch turns to gold and diamonds. Okay.
Yeah.
So the only way it happens is because the energy is good, right?
Yes.
We are matching each other. We're not taking away from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing stuff. So that's what I had for you today, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome. Love it. I think you saw Mubarak like on fire there for the first time if you're watching the video. It's always good when he's on fire. So you're gonna see more and more of that if you decide to join us in some of our coaching programs. So anyway, that is episode 9. And I hope again that things are coming together for you, especially on this specific episode, if you're able to experience the knowledge, right, and have that deeper understanding and that deeper wisdom. And then, like we said, over the next few episodes, we're going to talk about some of the systems that we're using organic marketing systems. So that if one of your goals is to ultimately attract a wider audience, have more clients, these are systems that like companies like Microsoft has used, right?
Yeah.
McDonald's uses these systems. And once you see it, it's like something you can't unsee. You're like, oh my gosh, that's that. Oh gosh, that's that. Like, this is organic traffic at its finest. That's been Organic Reach X,
where we show you how to go with the flow organically in your business.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Awesome. Bye-bye.